Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Sister Sister, a podcast for spiritual baddies. We are your hosts, Elle and Amaya, and today we will be talking about crystals for beginners.
Hi guys, how's it going? So obviously this is like my topic. Not that Amaya's not into crystals, but like I own a crystal shop. I am the chaotic crystal chick. So we're going to basically just kind of get into a little bit of like how they work, cleansing, talking about charging, and then top 10 recommendations. And if you stay until the end, we have a special surprise for you and code to get money off on getting crystals for yourself. This episode is low key not sponsored, but kind of sponsored by me. So I guess I'll start with the how crystals work and then you can do the cleansing part, Amaya, since I'm already yapping over here. So crystals, like anything else natural on Earth, are a source of energy. So no matter like what ancient civilizations you look back at, you're going to find some sort of link to crystals for healing in some way, shape, or form. So like if you look specifically at like Native Americans and their spiritual practices, you'll see a lot about turquoise in that culture. And then if you look like more towards the Middle East and their indigenous practices from way back in ancient times, you're going to see things more like the rubies, the emeralds, that kind of stuff. Different regions of the world have different crystals that were used for healing properties during different time periods. So the idea of how a crystal work is that each stone lets off a certain energy frequency that you can use to help you achieve certain things in your life. Everything natural on the planet is going to be vibrating at some sort of frequency. That's just how energy works. So the vibrations are going to be different for different types of stones depending on their like crystalline structure, and that's kind of how the healing properties are decided. Some healing properties are also decided based on the colors of the stone, because if you're familiar with color magic at all, color kind of means different things depending on what systems you're looking at. So, depending on where it comes from, the color of that system of belief may impact what the meanings are for the stones.
It is recommended that you clean your crystals upon purchasing them. Oftentimes, when people are browsing and touching and picking up stones, their energy kind of sticks to each stone. So it's important that when you get home from purchasing your crystals that you cleanse them. There's lots of ways to clean them, but some of the most common are smoke cleansing. You can do this with as simple as incense, cleansing in moon water, but be sure that the stone can go in water. Some cannot, and some can be very toxic and poisonous if you do put them in water. You can also cleanse them with salt, same concept with the water, and you can also do sound cleansing with frequencies or a bell, or cleanse with selenite.
So, one of the most common questions I get as a crystal shop owner is, do you have to charge your crystals on every full moon? How do you charge your crystals? Cleansing is a pretty upfront concept. If you've ever cleansed your house from negative energy, you probably have some sort of idea how to cleanse your crystals. But the charging thing is where a lot of newer people kind of get lost because everyone tells you something different. So, depending on who you ask, some will say, yes, you definitely have to cleanse your crystals under every full moon. Absolutely. They are going to charge with the moon energy, cleanse them, charge them, etc. Me personally, I don't feel like that's how you're supposed to interact with stones and crystals. I feel like it is more about your personal connection to the stone rather than the moon's energy in the stone. And the reason that I say that is if you're using a crystal for some sort of metaphysical or healing property, it's going to help you based on the vibrations that it's at and the vibrations that you're at. So, this isn't to say that you can't charge them under the full moon whenever you get them. If you feel like you want to give it a little bit of boost when you first start working with it, that's really, good for you. Feel free to. But if you haven't connected with the stone, then it's probably not going to work with you. So, my biggest recommendation, and I know like Amaya knows about this too, is in some way, shape, or form, when you get a new stone after you cleanse it, you want to try to connect with it. That can be done through like meditation or simply just like holding the stone and kind of imagining what it's going to do for you. If you're using a stone for a spell or like a specific intention, like say around your home, asking the stone to do what it's supposed to do, because pretty much every stone has multiple metaphysical and healing properties. So if you aren't telling it or connecting with it for which one you wanted to specifically do for you, then how is it supposed to help you? Like, if it doesn't know what it's supposed to do, it's not going to kind of bring that in for you. So that's one of the biggest things. So one of the things that I say is like you can imagine if you know just brought like pyrite, tiger's eye, a prosperity stone. Imagine that your bank account's going up while you hold it, or you're getting unexpected client messages, things like that. And that's just going to kind of help like connect you with the stone so it knows what kind of energy you're trying to put out there with it and what its purpose is. Now, if the pyrite, tiger's eye, green aventurine, what have you, completes that purpose for you, you're having really good sales, everything is like super great, and you want to use it for another property, at that point, cleanse it and charge it under the full moon is my recommendation. Because at that point, it served its purpose for one thing for you, but it can serve its purpose for another.
Now you're deciding, hey, I think I need a crystal. Which ones should I get? How do I know which ones are meant for me? So, the most common way that people pick out their stones is allowing their intuition to guide them. So, this can be done in numerous ways. Maybe you walk to Elle's store, for example, and you look at the shelf and you keep going back to Howlite, for example, for whatever reason. This commonly means that Ally, in this case, would be calling you intuitively. Other times, you might hold a stone in your hand and close your eyes. If your body leans forward, it means the stone is meant for you. And if your body leans backwards, the stone is not meant for you. Sometimes, if you don't know and want to maybe heal a certain aspect of your life, you can simply just do research on which stones work best for what you're trying to heal and what you need in your life and choose a stone that way. Elle's Store does a really great job, as well as her website, of describing what each crystal does for you metaphysically and how it can help you heal. So, if you ever have questions, you can always ask Elle.
Yeah, and we actually will be putting in a section on our website within the coming months regarding shopping by intention. So I've been kind of doing live sales on Instagram that are more focused on that, and Facebook, which this is January that we're recording. I don't know that I'll still be doing them on both platforms come the time this episode comes out. But a lot of the content I've been posting promoting it is like, here are the crystals on the table for X, Y, and Z, you know, like kind of promoting what they do. And I'm using that because I kind of want to get people used to shopping for what they need rather than, you know, just, oh, I love amethyst, I'm going to get 500 more pieces of it. Kind of finding the ways that if you're a metaphysical person to connect with what you're trying to heal, what you want to bring into your life. So that leaves us with the question of what are the best crystals for beginners? Well, crystal shopping is something that's very individualized and should be depending on who you are, what you're wanting to bring into your life. However, we do have top 10 stones for beginners. I actually even get people at markets sometimes that come up to me and they're like, I have no idea where to start. Can you pick out 5 stones for me within like a $25 budget that you feel based on my energy I need? And I love doing that. Like, I love doing that. Whenever I get that request, I'm like, yes, absolutely. But these are just kind of like the basics that hit a bunch of different categories for different things you could want to bring in. The first is clear quartz, which is known as just a universal stone overall for a lot of things. It can be used to help bring in clarity in your life, especially related to spirituality. If you're kind of starting your spiritual journey and feel like you don't really know where to go next, clear quartz might be a good thing to pick up. It's also a stone of balance and peace. Clear quartz is also a universal cleansing stone, so it can also be used like selenite is. And the thing that I always say everyone needs clear quartz for is it will amplify the properties of any other crystal that it's paired with. So if even if you don't want clear quartz for the other things it does, it's always good to have a piece or two in your collection that you can pair with the stones that you're keeping in your car or your purse, or even having a clear quartz bracelet with the bracelets that you wear to amplify their properties.
The next one is black tourmaline. So every beginner needs a protection stone, and while there's many protections to choose from, black tourmaline will always be at the forefront for most people because it acts as a shield to protect you from negative energies that can affect the body, mind, and spirit. We especially like the stone because it helps heal from spirit from negative energy that already has reached you. And I actually have this one in my room. So I think I mentioned this in the last episode, but there was a point in time when we first moved to this current apartment that I live in where I was seeing a lot of different shapes and figures at night, and it would like scare me. So I have in each corner of my room a like large raw version of black tourmaline. And I will say that this has been almost, I'm gonna say almost a decade now since we lived here. Yeah, I think a decade. Ever since then, I literally sleep so peacefully. I mean, sometimes I still see figures, but again, like I said last time, I just kind of ignore it and like say, hey, you don't belong here, get the heck out of my house, and then kind of move that way. Um, I would say black tourmaline is one that you can wear at commonly as a necklace too. You can put in your car to drive safer and avoid accidents. There's crazy people on the road. I definitely would recommend, if none of these on the list except one, it would be this one.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like Amaya and I were just talking beforehand about the black tourmaline in the four corners. So that's a very common practice, whether it's a room or an entire building. So, like the shop also has that in the four corners. And I have a piece of clear quartz next to it to help amplify that shield. I am located in the middle of Appalachia in Pennsylvania with the woods right behind me. So we need a little extra spiritual guarding on the shop, but it's very much so a very common one. It's one that I always make sure I have lots of on hand. I specifically have a regular that comes in who is a DJ that hers breaks on her because of all of the contact she has with people continuously. So it's something that like a lot of people use, even like if you're just going to be around a lot of people, to keep you kind of protected and safeguarded from everyone else's negativity. The next one is amethyst, which is mainly a stone that is known for relieving stress and anxiety, but it can also help with protection of your mind. So if you deal with a lot of like negative thoughts, it can kind of help with that reworking of things process if you're doing shadow work and things like that. And also if you're trying to like reach your higher self when meditating, it can also be a really good stone for that to help you with embracing your new path forward in spirituality. So it's a multifaceted stone, but the most common thing people get it for is stress and anxiety. You'll see it a lot of times in worry stones or bracelets because people tend to flock to it for that property.
The next one is probably one of the most common ones, especially for love, but we're not going to get that far. Much like regular quartz, rose quartz is pretty versatile, but it focuses on matters of the heart. So this stone is also known as the Master Romance Stone, but aside from bringing love in, it has a lot of other properties, such as helping heal emotional wounds from heartbreak and grief. It's a stone of self-love and brings you to see your own personal power. Rose quartz is also said to help protecting mothers. So a lot of times people rely on this zone to kind of open matters of the heart, like open the roads for love. But this would be a great stone if you're trying to implement self love, self obsession, whatever you want to call it. Just like positive vibes about yourself and like kind of changing your mindset on who you are as a person.
The next one that we're going to talk about is green aventurine, which there are a couple different prosperity stones that we could have picked for this list, but green aventurine is the most versatile when it comes to abundance in general. If you're focusing more on like money specifically, obviously go with like a pyrite or a tiger's eye. But if you want a stone that's going to work multifaceted in abundance, this is going to be your best option. So, whether you're looking for wealth and abundance in that way, or in an emotional realm with wanting to have abundance within your family and your friends, this stone overall is going to help bring that abundant receiving energy in. It's also known as a stone of luck. You'll a lot of times see it carved in shapes of like four-leaf clovers and stuff because it is green and looks like a clover, but it's also a luck stone. So that's pretty much that on that, but it's kind of like the overall abundance stone where the other ones focus in a little bit more specifically.
Next is selenite, which is known as the universal cleanser and is extremely useful for anyone starting on their crystal journey. It can be used to cleanse other crystals, spaces, and even yourself. The important note on this one is to not get it wet as it will dissolve and release toxins when wet.
And selenite is another one that a lot of people use in spaces. So they often will put it above a door frame and have it sit there on the inside to help cleanse any energy from people that are coming in. It also will tend to make unwelcome guests kind of leave a little quicker because they got that like cleanse when they came in and they're like, oh, I don't feel comfortable with this. So the next stone that we're going to talk about is citrine, which is a stone mainly focused on positivity and joy. And a lot of people don't really kind of take to this stone initially, and there's a lot of debacle about it. I personally only sell natural citrine in my store. Some people sell the version that's heat treated amethyst. Learn the difference. I mean, it's up to you which you prefer, but it honestly deserves a little bit more credit because not only will citrine help just bring overall positivity and joy in your life, but it also is going to help you with finding positive outcomes. So if you're just starting your spiritual journey or going through a spiritual awakening in kind of the facing of the dark night of the soul and healing your shadow self, or if you're trying to heal your inner child, this is really going to be a good stone to help you move forward in things with positive outlooks and kind of help you along that part of your journey.
This one's not on the list, but if you have labradorite and you like it, I would say another one for healing traumas and like stuff regarding your childhood is serpentine. So did want to drop that little bit of wisdom. But I would say that's like level 2 in like stones of healing. Just wanted to throw that little hint of wisdom out there. So the next one is labradorite. This one is one of my favorites besides amethyst. Another stone that's often skipped on these beginner lists is labradorite because it helps you to grow spiritually and hone in on your creativity. So it'll help you with the creative parts in yourself and help manifest with the help of the stone. And it's also extremely transformative and will aid you into a new beginning and path. So whatever that may be, if you want to start a new path on like a hobby, or maybe you can pair it with another one for your career, for example, this would be a really good one to kind of use.
Yeah, and like you just said, Amaya, pairing it, labradorite is a great stone that works well with other stones if you're using it specifically to help kind of manifest and bring in a new beginning. So focusing on what you're wanting the new beginning in, and then the labradorite added with it to give that extra boost, like really can make a difference. So, number 9, we have fluorite. This stone is highly protective in ways of the mind. Fluorite is also going to help bring a lot of clarity and focus so you can better understand the truth in situations. Fluorite also will help to bring in new creative ideas, much like labradorite. And it kind of helps you make concrete, logical plans moving forward. So, because of that mental clarity that it brings in the focus, whenever you have a new creative project that comes to mind from fluorite, you're going to know how to move forward with it. And overall, fluorite is a stone of mental stimulation. And so if you feel like you are trying to like focus on something and you can't, maybe you're trying to learn how to meditate and it's not working for you, fluorite can help aid you with that.
Last but not least is carnelian. So it's a powerful stone focused on helping you step into your personal power and is most often used to help increase confidence. And with that new found confidence, it also makes it easier to attract what you want in your life. So this one, it might also be like known for love, but primarily it's known to help you bring in your power, help you feel more confident, and pretty much promote self-love. So if rose quartz would be like a number one on the self-love level tiers, I would say carnelian would be like a two.
Yeah, that's the one thing that like always irritates me so much with social media is carnelian is not a romantic love stone, right? Like it is meant for personal power. It's really great for self-love, and sometimes you have to be able to figure out how to love yourself before you can bring love in, and that's why like you start wearing carnelian and you find yourself and then you find your like right mate and people are like, "Oh, it was the carnelian that brought in love." It's like, no, it made you a better version of yourself and more confident, which helped you to attract the things you wanted in your life. If you were out looking for love, you become a master attractor, then love's going to come your way. Yeah, whenever people say on all of the social media platforms that carnelian made them meet the love of their life, I'm like, no, that's not how that works. So like I had said, I want to talk a little bit about if you lose a stone or if a stone breaks, kind of what that means. Some people feel like it like is a bad thing. So if you lose a stone, say like you have a necklace and it randomly falls off, or like you had one in your purse and it fell out somehow, that usually just means that that stone has served its purpose for you and you no longer need it in your life. Now, if a stone breaks, there's kind of a couple ways you can go about it. It can, one, mean the same thing as if you lost the stone, you don't need it in your life anymore. But if it's like a clean break and it's like two very solid pieces, a lot of times it will mean that you need that stone in two different areas of your life. So, like maybe it's a protection stone and you need it in your car, but also on your person, or in your house, but also in your car, like things like that. And then there's also the conversation of if, a stone breaks, how do you like go about getting rid of it if it like shatters a bunch? And a lot of times, if a stone or like a crystal bracelet or something just shatters out of nowhere, it means it picks something up. Like a lot of times that will happen with specifically like protection stones and those kinds of things. But it's going to break because it picked something up. In that case, you kind of want to get rid of it, either bury it or get rid of it by other means, return it to the earth in some way, shape, or form. So, if you are wanting to pick up some crystals or get a beginner bundle with each of these 10 stones in it, which will be available on chaoticcrystalchickco.com, then head on over there, www.chaoticcrystalchickco.com. And I'm also going to be offering 15% off for our podcast listeners for the next 6 months. So use code SSPOD, all capitals, at checkout. And there's not a limit on how many times you can use the code, but like go use it. It's literally free for you to get 15% off for listening to the podcast. And just once again, that's SSPOD, POD, and just put it in the checkout.
All capital.
All capital.
So, with that all being said, we hope you guys enjoy learning a little bit more about crystals. Definitely want to dive into more crystal content in the future. Maybe even talk about some things relating to crystals and how you can implement them in your practices. Now, with that being said, let's dive right on into tarot time.
Okay, what does the collective need to hear? Oh, we got two. We got two. We got two. Spirit, I didn't ask for two. All right. We've got Temperance, and then we have the Queen of Cups. I can't show them with this background at the same time. Okay. So temperance is all about finding balance, finding kind of what your action plan needs to be next, really just kind of connecting with that balance, that inner peace, that yin and yang kind of idea. And then the Queen of Cups is someone who is not the archetypal mother in the way of the Empress, but very much so the kind, nurturing, caring kind of personas of that type of person. The Queen of Cups is someone who's super emotionally stable. They very much so know what they want. So, overall, I feel that this is going to be a time of restoring balance and feeling emotionally fulfilled for the collective, which is interesting with the astrology for today and this week.
Well, interesting to say the least. Next is our astrology almanac.
Today we have a lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. This eclipse energy has a strong focus on productivity. Important projects are coming to an end, and you can expect to have your hard work recognized. This is also a good time to release what has been stressing you out and find ways to better cope with stress that is healthy. Tomorrow, Mercury retrograde comes in the sign of Aries. It's time to expect communication difficulty, technical issues, and travel delays. With this Mercury retrograde being in the sign of Aries, you can expect extra anger and frustration when it comes to the trouble you have from retrograde. Mercury and Venus are both now in retrograde in the sign of Aries. Expect extra agitation and aggression when it comes to communication in personal relationships. You can also expect old flames to come in more abruptly and fiery than normal to try and reconnect. Focus your energy properly and find outlets to avoid big blowouts. Then on the 16th, the moon in Libra will square Mars in Cancer, which means even the smallest of things can get under your skin, sending you into fight mode. Try to relax and get to the heart of the matter. Then on the 17th, the moon in Aquarius will square with Pluto in Aquarius, showing power struggles and control issues. Then on the 20th, the sun will enter Aries, making it the beginning of Aries season. Usually, Aries season marks a time to push forward and take action. However, with both Mercury and Venus in retrograde, this is going to be difficult, and you may have to find creative solutions to solve problems and move your plans forward. It may be easier to restart an old project you left behind and take action on it rather than starting something new.
Lots going on there.
Bruh, the month of March into the beginning, well, like mid-April, the planets are doing too much. They're doing too much.
Well, I wonder how that'll align with the global world. So
Not well.
anyway, that's a problem for another day. Thank you guys for tuning into another episode of Sister Sister. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and be sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok at ss.spiritualpodcast. Be sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube so you can get notified when the next episode drops, as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Hi, guys.